Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'll be showing you how I was able to make these pants that you can see on the screen. This is a free pants and I made use of 2 yards of anchor, actually 1.5 yard, and a 1 yard of crepe fabric or cotton fabric. I use cotton for my own. So here I've measured from my waistline to my hip, which is 8.5 inches, and then to my couch and thigh. To get the couch line, you sit on a flat surface like a bench, a table, anything that is just flat, and then you measure from where you want your waistband to start from down to where your butt is touching the surface. So now I got about 13 inches for where I wanted it to start from, because I wanted it to be a high waist. So I moved 2 inches out of that measurement for the waistband, and then the 11 inches that's remaining, what I used to mark the couch line. So now I'm marking my hip measurement divided by 4, and then my couch or thigh measurement is the fattest part of your thigh that you're going to measure, divided by 2. I'm marking it is about 13 inches. So I just marked on the couch or thigh line. So now this hip measurement that I divided by 4 is what I'm going to also mark at the waistline, just to get an even box look first before I shape my waist. So now I'm just going to connect the line down to the couch line. You can see that I've done that here. So now the next thing, I divided my waist measurement divided by 4, and I got 7.5 because my waist is 30 inches. So now when I marked it, I'm now going to connect a curve from my hip line, that's the start line by the side, without the allowance line. So now I'm just curving it, and then after that I'm going to transfer this 1/2 inch also to the side of the waist curve, as you can see me doing on the screen. So now I haven't tried it, but if you want to make your own waistline elastic, you don't need to do this curve. You just leave it straight as it is from the hip line down up to the waist. But if you want it to have a shape and fitted waistline, then you have to make this curve from your hip to your waist. So now after that, I'm going to be coming down from the original start line by 1 inch for my waist curve. For trousers you have to make this curve. So now I'm going to connect that from the original waist. I'm calling it original waist because I'm not adding the 1/2 inch allowance that is at the top. So I'm just going to curve that into the 1 inch and then add the 1/2 inch on top of it, as you can see me doing. After that, we are going to be making our couch slope. So now at this point there, between the line where the hip line meets the couch line, I'm going to come up forward by 1 inch. This is just freestyle how I usually do it, and it comes out okay. Then I'm going to curve it into the couch measurement divided by 2, like you just saw me do now. Just curve it into that. Then I'm going to be adding 1/2 inch on the pattern for just sewing allowance. If you want to add 1 inch, you can add as well. After that, you're going to need to slant your trouser line from the couch down to the end of this trouser. As you can see, the pattern is very short, so it's not even the end of this trouser for me. I'm still going to place it on my fabric. So how I do is I measure the couch line, and you saw that was 13. Then I removed 2 inches, and now it's giving 11. So it's that 11 I'm going to be putting at the hem of my trouser. I'm just doing it on the pattern so that you understand what I'm doing, but this is not the end of my trouser. This is not the end of my pants. I'm going to still put it on the fabric. I just moved 2 inches from the couch line. Depends on how wide you want the hem of the tire to be. If you want it smaller, you can always make it smaller and then just slant it down to that measurement. So now that's all for the front. I'm going to place it on my fabric and cut it out. So here I've placed it on my fabric, folded into 2. So now we just have to cut it out. So now for the hem of the trouser, I'm going to fold it. You saw the line at the front, that's where the length stopped at. Then the extra is the sewing allowance. So I just folded it and I measured the 11 again that I want to be at the end, the hem of this trouser. So I'm just cutting it out like this. And the reason I'm doing this is because this is the sewing allowance and I want it to match when I finally fold it. I've opened up the side. This was on fold. I snipped it open. So now for the back, I'm going to be adding an extra 2.5 inches for ease for the back. Since the butt is at the back, it's going to need a bigger couch curve. So now I'm just extending it. If your hip is anything bigger than 39-40, you can still use 2.5 or you can use 2 inches. So now from this line that I slanted it at the original line, I'm going up by 1.5 inches for the back, and I'm going to connect that into the pattern paper. just like you see me doing. That's the only thing you're going to do for the back. You're going to extend the waistline by 1 inch at the midpoint like you saw me do now, and then you're going to extend the crotch by 2.5. Now, because of that crotch extension, we would have to slant the extra 2.5 inches into the original pattern of this trouser, into the original line, like into that cardboard, as you can see. So when you finish that, the next thing will be to cut it out like you see me doing. So now, as you can see, the hem of my trouser, you know that I kept a very big allowance because of that extra 1 inch I added for the back. I'm using Ankara, so the length was 45 and my full trouser is 45, so I'm just reducing it so that it matches to the back. You may not have this problem because your trouser may not be this long, or it may be a different fabric that is by 60, but mine is just too short, and I'm just reducing my allowance for the hem of the leg. That's why I added a clip in case you have the similar problem. So now this is just the black fabric I'm adding. It's lightweight, it's just a simple cotton fabric. You can use crepe, you can use anything you like. So here, this is 12 inches when I open it up like this, and this is the total thing I'm going to be adding, both the sewing allowance. So by the time I sew it, it might reduce up to 10 inches. So you saw how it is from the beginning. If you want yours to be anything smaller or bigger, you can always add or reduce. So this is the black I'm going to be adding to the side of this Ankara. So now, because the waistband is not straight, it's kind of curved, I'm also going to transfer that curve to the black fabric at the top. So now I just folded it into the black fabric, and then I'm going to place the side of the Ankara that has this waistline curve, and then I'm going to also cut it out for the black. After that, the next thing would be to join the crotch curve, and you can join it the normal way, like just turning right sides facing right sides and then stitch from the inside, but I'm going to be joining it using the French seam method. Like, this is the normal way you can sew it, with the wrong side facing the camera and then the right side facing each other. Also, the side, as you can see, I'm also going to be joining it to the side of the Ankara to the side of the plain fabric. I'm just showing you how I'm doing the French seam method for my own because I don't have a weaving machine close to me. I've said it in my other video too, but you can sew it the normal way and then weave it later, or you can sew it with this French seam method. So now, after stitching on the right side for the crotch area, I'm just going to turn it to the wrong side now and stitch. If the allowance on the right side is too big, you can trim it a little before you flip it over like this. So now I'm going to stitch this. Then you also do this on only like one side. Don't do it for the back, only the front side please, because you're going to add the zip to the back. So if you do this, you won't be able to add the zipper. So only on the front side. That's if you're using this French seam method. You're also going to be adding that to the back, so don't forget that. Yeah, I forgot I was going to add zip to the back, so I stitched the back closed, but I had to open it later on. So after you've joined the crotch, the sides as well, with the normal sewing method or with the French seam method. Okay, so before we proceed, I just want to show you, when I do the French seam method, if it's a stitch that's going to be very long, I use a different color. Like now on the first stitch for the French seam method, like when I stitch on the right side, I use lemon green because I don't want to finish my black thread. If your thread is almost running out, you can also use this method. Just use another color, stitch the first stitch, then when you trim it and flip it over, you can use the normal color, the normal sewing color. I just needed to add this there for anybody that would need this, that this will be helpful too. Now after that first stitch, you flip it over to the wrong side and then sew again with a 1/4 inch allowance, just a very little allowance. So now after all that is done, I'm just going to place my fabric like this. I'm trying to get the midpoint of the black fabric, and then I just notched it at the middle. So then I'm going to pleat the Ankara fabric like you see me doing now. I just folded it and I took it to that midpoint. I'm going to pin that down. Also the other side, like you're just making a pleat, like a kissing pleat. The two Ankara fabric will be touching each other. They can even overlap a little. That's if your waist measurement is too big and you want to take off some measurements, but you will also have that at the back for that. So you're just going to place the two of them like this. You can see what I did in the video. Pin it down so they don't move, and then you stitch it. Just take the two Ankara from the side and let them touch each other. When you stitch it, you also need to iron this in place. Ankara fabric is actually very stubborn for this, but it's fine as well. You can use crepe fabric, you can use vintage fabric, something that flows easily would work really well for this style. So now as you can see, I have stitched the sides of the boots fabric, and you can see my back crouch curve is open halfway. I stitched halfway and left it like that for the zip I'm going to be adding to it. I've also hemmed the midpoint of the trouser, like where the two crouch points are touching each other. I usually hem from the end halfway to where the crouch is, then I make sure that the two crouch seams are touching each other. I don't know if you understand the part I'm showing you now, but I just hemmed from the inside of the trouser, and then at that point where the two crouch will touch each other, this is where I'm showing you, I'm just going to hem it close as well. So now after that, after you've done everything, you've ironed it, the next step will be to add a band, and then you add your zipper. But before that, we're going to measure around the Ankara waistline to make sure that it matches our actual waist. If it's more than that, you can always add the dart at the back. But if your waistline is perfect like that, you may not need to add the darts. If you want to add, you can add that as well. So now for my band width, I'm using 7 inches, and for the length, I cut out 33 inches. My waist is 30. I just want that extra allowance for joining the band ends. So now you're going to iron the top and the end of this band, and then you fold it into 2. I've done that here, as you can see. This band is very big. It's even more than the 2 inches I was talking about in the beginning. I just wanted it to have this big band because I just like this for some reason. You can make yours smaller if you want. So now I've joined the first side of the band, and I always join from the right side. So I just stitch on the right side, like the front of this Ankara trouser, so that if I'm folding it, I'm going to be doing the folding from the back. Because I iron, it's easy for me to just fold and just arrange. So now this end, remember I cut out more than I had for my waistline. So now this extra that is remaining here is what I'm going to use to stitch the band closed at the side. I'm just folding it so that they match up, like they line up well, and then I'm going to stitch it closed on both sides. I've done it here, trimmed off the excess, and you could even notch the top so that it lays flat when you open it up, like you can see. So now when you flip it over, you just carefully fold the extra allowance that's coming out inside the band, and then you stitch on that side. You can use the invisible stitching, that stitch in the ditch method where the stitch will not show, or you can use the normal method where the stitch will show. I let my stitch show for this one. So when you are done with the band, the next thing will be to hem the trouser, and then you add your short zip. Please, just so the zip does not spoil quick, I advise you get the strong head short zip, the short zip that have a strong head. So I'm sure that most of us know how to attach a zip, but I filmed it, so I'm going to talk about it. So just place the zip, the right side should be facing the right side of the Ankara like this, and then you just pin it down, as you can see. Please make sure that the part that the stitch of the crouch stopped or be started from, make sure that it's very strong. You can back stitch as much as you like there so it doesn't unravel. So now I'm pinning the other side. As you can see, the wrong side is where it's facing the camera, the right side is facing the inside of this trouser, as you can see how it's looking. So now after you finish attaching the zip, I think that's all for the trouser. Thank you for watching the tutorial up to this point. Please leave a like, comment down below something you liked about the trouser, and you can share to others that might need this tutorial. Thank you for watching as always, and please subscribe to my channel because I have more tutorials coming up. Bye. Have a nice week. Bye bye. Also, if the trouser is looking too bogus for you, you can always shape it to your size.